for feeling bummed out?
Try, you ignorant slut!
Not only the years we've been at war, but from the moment, as a child, when we realized that the world could be conquered.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great Scott Podcast, where, as always, we're talking about The Office, which is an amazing show. And no, I am not J. Ray. That is not me. I am Jacob. And with us, we have director Alex from other Broken Jars shows, such as High Fantasy and the Dresden Files podcast. And I think that's it. Are you on?
Yeah, so far. We might, if we start up things like Shattered, then I'm definitely getting on that action.
Okay, so you are relatively new to The Office, yes?
Yeah, I've watched most of it once. I stopped somewhere and I don't know. Michael left and Andy was the boss. And then I just kind of got distracted by other things and I haven't gone back to finish it yet.
Okay, so that would be season 8.
I think so. Yeah, that was the number that I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Okay, well, today, so what do you think about the show so far? Like it, dislike it, et cetera, et cetera?
I do like it. I consistently just giggle at some things. Other things I feel frustrated with sometimes, but that's part of the humor.
Yes, it's a very awkward kind of humor.
Yeah, it's not painful like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which just ow, I can't watch that because it's just too uncomfortable. But once in a while I want to strangle Michael, but that's still half the humor.
That is the reason for the things.
Yes.
Okay, well, today we are in season 4, episodes 3 and 4, starting with Launch Party, which was written by Jennifer Salato. I think that's how you. J. Ray knows how to pronounce her name. I don't. And then we have Ken Whittingham as the director. So this is probably what, your second time watching this episode?
Yeah.
Okay, so what'd you think?
I forgot that it was a hour-long episode, which I paid for when I was watching it late last night. And I kind of forgot that all these things happened in one episode. Like Meredith coming back and getting her cast signed. It's that's such a small part that I forgot it happened here.
Right. There's a funny thing about that is if you watch when Jim signs the cast, he actually signs his real name, John Krasinski, and not Jim Halpert.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, if you go back and look, there's definitely a J and definitely a K. And the last name is way too long to be Halpert.
All I saw was first letter scribble, second letter scribble type thing. But yeah.
Yeah, so this episode opens up with a really good cold open with the box bouncing around the screen, and they're all hoping it'll go into the corner.
Yeah.
I know I've wasted plenty of time with just watching the box bounce around the corner. And then I
always assumed that they were programmed to never go directly into the corner.
Well, if you watch the box here, I'm not sure it did go into the corner. I think it was really close, but kind of I don't think it was perfectly in there.
Not even for a TV show can they get it to happen as they want it to.
I wonder how long it took them to get it. Or do you think they created? Do you think that was an actual pattern, or they just created a video of it happening?
I assume they created a video so they could control it, but I assume that's easier.
I would assume that would be easier, yes. And there's this really great Jim Pam fight where it's Pam says she saw it, but I don't think so. And then who said I didn't see it? Was it Jim? It is really nice dynamic now that they're dating. They're kind of fighting with each other, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, how he says I believe she believes that she saw it.
Yep, she believes that she thinks she saw it. Which, yeah, it's pretty funny. This episode has one of my favorite longer pranks because in this episode, the Dunder Mifflin Infinity website is launching. And Ryan's all it's going to be the best-selling thing in the best-selling salesman in the company. So Dwight, trying to win Angel's affection back, challenges the computer, and that happens. So, and there's this great bit where Jim and Pam are IMing him as if it's the computer doing it.
Yeah, I forgot about that happening, and then I was like, got to re-enjoy it. That was really good.
What I loved about it, though, it just shows Dwight who Dwight is. Like he just accepted it. He was like,
Yeah.
This happens from time to time. It wasn't like, oh, this is weird or bizarre. He's just like, okay, sure, this makes sense.
Yeah, you seem to have like a second of like, it has to be Jim doing something, but no, Jim's not at a computer, and then he just completely accepts it as the computer gaining sentience.
Yeah. I love that about Dwight. Yeah, he's just like, whatever. And also, the Dunder Mifflin website autoplays music, and any website that autoplays anything should just burn in hell. So
Yes.
it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
I'm okay with the sites that like will start a silent video and then you can turn on the sound if you want to. I'm okay with that because I don't have to pay attention to it. But you start auto-playing music and I'm gone.
Oh, it's worse are the news sites that when you start scrolling down, the video gets moved into a box while you're trying to read the story. Like, I don't... Ugh. I hate
Yeah.
those people. I hate them. So Michael thinks he's going to the party in New York. And so,
Yes.
like, I guess by the end of this episode, he kind of gets it, but, why can't Michael see that Ryan really just kind of hates him?
Denial? I mean, it just goes back to various forms of denial in all sorts of ways.
It's kind of like this. It's similar with Todd Packer because he's like Todd Packer treats Michael like shit, but Michael loves Todd. He's like, yeah, this is great. And then I think in turn it's the same. I mean, you kind of see it with Dwight and Michael. Michael, for the most part, treats Dwight like shit, but Dwight's always there.
I think, like, with both Todd and Dwight, they're both reaffirming that what Michael is doing is good. Like, Todd is going, messes with him, does dickish things, and then still, like, oh, yeah, you're his ways. And Dwight says, well, you're my superior. Of course you get to do that. And Ryan's, like, the only one who tries to stop him, tell him he's doing bad things. But he's got the affirmation from elsewhere that he's just, of course I'm doing the right thing.
You were a psych major, right?
Yes.
So
I have a degree in psychology.
So break down Michael Scott.
He's autistic.
Really?
I would say that he is probably autistic. I don't know if it's fully accurate because I don't have a diagnostic ability. And when I took abnormal psych, it mostly focused on personality disorders instead of autism. But his like the social gaffes that he does and the small lessons that he tries to do, it seems to be like someone trying to deal with not being able to understand everyone else, which seems pretty close to what autism seems to be like. I don't know. I'm not autistic or a specialist, but that's my closest guess is some form of autism.
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. But he's so very high functioning autistic.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't seem to do the things that classically happen, like the self-soothing mechanisms like people do of, small weird things like they'll walk around on their toes in an odd way and they just kind of get like internal happiness out of it. It's not external and they do it to soothing. He doesn't seem to do that, but he does have like his row of toys and things.
Okay. And so we get to see his European cut dress shirt, which is ultra tight.
Yeah. I wondered I forgot if this was the same episode or how close it is to the one when he's wearing a woman's suit.
That was in season 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember which episode that was, but that was a good
It was tight enough that like I is that a woman's shirt? Because it kind of looked like he had boobs.
Yeah. Way too tight. Way too tight. It was the negotiation. That's the episode when he accidentally wears the women's suit, and then he goes to New York and tries to get threatens to withhold sex if he doesn't get a raise from Jan. So the other thing that's going on is there's supposed to be a launch party in Scranton, and they're all going to webcam into New York. And so Angela is just being a full-on bitch, trying to get this party together, and just treating Phyllis like crap.
Yeah, I particularly like Angela and Dwight together in various ways, even when they're fighting with each other, because their neuroses complement each other so much. But I love when Angela is fighting with Phyllis, and Phyllis is sitting down in her chair. Angela is so tiny that she's barely like 2 inches taller than her.
Mm-hmm.
The woman is small.
Yes, she's like 5'1", I think, 5 foot, 5'1".
Yeah.
We've looked it up before. I just can't remember. And something we learned that so Dwight gets pissed off at the computer and sends it binary. So I looked it up, and apparently he punches out FO in binary to the computer. So, super classy move there, Dwight.
But it's not just FO, it's in reverse order. So it would be OF with some zeros dropped because they're unnecessary.
Yeah.
But yeah. Someone very nerdy came up with that.
I always like to see when stuff like that, if they're actually doing something or if it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe at this point, TV had been on DVD long enough that that they understand that people are going to check up on it. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. Like almost if almost every television show something like that happens, there's an answer for it somewhere.
Yeah, and especially we can just like probably find the people, ask them, and then put it somewhere else on the internet, and everyone else can find it.
Yep. Yeah, and we find out that Dwight had stolen leads from Staples,
Yeah.
which he was like, I don't know, maybe I was gonna keep them as a souvenir, possibly use them. He's like trying to convince himself he's not a bad person for doing it.
Yeah. And he's so predictable that Jim could figure it out without having to actually ask anything.
Yeah. Oh. So, that happens. Michael and Jim, they go off to New York before they realize that he's not invited to that party. And you drive in the background, you can tell they're totally not in PA. Like, not a chance they're in PA. Like, it's very arid and deserty. Not what Pennsylvania looks like at all.
I mean, I know that they record in California. Mm-hmm. Everything records in California. But I always found it admirable that when they're talking about it being cold or snowy, there's actually snow on the ground. Mm-hmm. Versus a lot of other things. Like Scrubs, it always seemed like it's so obviously in California, stop trying to make it not. And like I never saw snow in Scrubs, but in The Office it did. So I always liked that. I did not think of the background because, yeah, you're close there.
Any time they're like, especially like up on the roof of the building, and you can see out. It's like, oh, definitely not Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
people say that's like one of the harder things to do as an actor because you're generally filming in like August in LA in these cold weather scenes, so you're bundled up and it's super hot.
Otherwise, it seems like once in a while I'll see something that seems to be supposed to be taking place in a warm setting, and you can still see their breath in the air. It's like, why are you doing it at such a bad time? But good job not shivering.
Well, schedules are schedules, right?
Yeah.
So Dwight is victorious against the computer, beating him by 52 reams, which is a lot of paper. So
Yeah.
like a ream is 500 sheets, I think.
I think.
So where's my calculator? Where'd it go? Oh, son of a bitch.
Yep, this is good
There it
radio.
is.
Fighting
I
the
know.
calculator.
So Dwight sold 635,000 sheets of paper in one day. I can't.
Damn.
Did I do that right? 1270 times 500. Yeah. Damn, that's a lot of paper.
I like that Andy is helping just because, it's something fun to do. He gets to be excited, but I also really like when Jim is fucking with Andy. Yeah, and Andy's like, I can't tell if he's mocking me, and Jim helps out. Yes, I was mocking you.
Yeah.
And there's a second of like, thank you on Andy's face.
Thanks for just thanks for confirming that you are in fact mocking me. So Michael gets back right after Dwight wins and decides that he's going to make this party awesome. He wants something with ice, something made of ice, poi, dancers, all this stuff. And Angela is like, oh, I got an hour. I have an hour. I can't do this. And then he orders all these pizzas from Pizza by Alfredo, which is apparently terrible. And Alfredo's
Pizza Cafe
is supposed to be like amazing. And it's really funny listening to everyone talk about Pizza by Alfredo. Like, Kevin's like, it's like a circle of hot garbage.
I like the implication that obviously he's still eating it. It's just hot garbage. At least that's the way I took it. I also like when Michael's fighting with the delivery kid, it's over pizza. Oscar just chimes in and says, like, it's not pizza.
I know. Oscar's a sassy little bitch. I don't know. I kind of feel like, I mean, if it's not printed on the coupon, I feel like he probably should have gotten the discount. Or it should have been mentioned to him that it was the policy. I don't know.
Yeah, I have not seen a coupon that didn't have its restrictions printed on it or that made evident somewhere else, like on their website or something.
Yeah, well, this was 2007, so there's no guarantee it had a website. It probably had a website, but there's no guarantee of it.
Not that long ago. Interesting.
Well, I mean, it's 10 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. I'm definitely getting old. And then Michael's just like, screw it. This is not how business is done, and kidnaps the child, the delivery kid, who is a complete asshole.
I like that he's an asshole.
There's just so much stuff where he's just like, Michael's just like trying to like get him to understand what is going on, and the people in the office are looking up jail time and what it means to be an accessory.
Yeah. Michael consistently does that thing of trying to explain good business to someone who doesn't care or knows a lot better than him. Like going to Ryan's college class or something.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful disaster. Or also trying to describe proper business etiquette to a delivery kid who's working for minimum wage.
Yeah. And tips. Don't forget the tips.
Yeah, hopefully tips. What, like $1 or something?
And it's not like he's like, this is not how you do sales. It's not really sales. He's just like, pizza transit person.
Yeah.
And we find out like in the next, because we know like Michael Scott's a really great salesman, but we do find out in the next episode he's a really great salesman in certain areas. Like he can't do the telemarketing thing.
Mm-hmm. I really liked when like Jan had to do that sale with him, and they went out and got shit faced instead of doing the business thing like she said, because I identified so strongly with her in wanting to strangle Michael, and then he managed to do it. It's like, oh, he guess he's not completely useless. It was really weird. I'm surprised you haven't made a joke of me being like Jan.
Oh, well. Yeah, I mean, Jan would definitely stab somebody, so.
She is a bitch, though.
She
Hope
is.
I'm not that much of a bitch.
Oh, you're not. No, you're not. That's why you're not like Jan. You're not a crazy bitch. I don't know. Jan's really hit and miss for me. There are times where it just seems like she's just off. She's broken. Like there's something wrong there, you know. Mm-hmm. But there's other times where you see that she is very intelligent and very intelligent, knows what she's doing, all that stuff. So I don't know. And there are times when you're like, oh, she actually does care for people. And there are other times where you're like, she wants to murder everyone.
I like the mention that the delivery kid would steal Dwight's hemp. And the kid said that Dwight's the one with the shitty weed.
Yeah. It's just funny how like they know each other, but they don't really care. They're like, whatever. It's fine. And then, the other big thing going on in the episode is Dwight still working with Angela. Which to be honest, I don't think I could do it. I don't really think I could work with an ex.
I don't know. I got married so young. I never ever had to deal with that, and much less I've never even had a job. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the closest I ever came to it was I still had classes with an ex, because we were in some of the same classes in college, and then we broke up mid-semester. That was fun. So we just ended up being like not really broken up, but broken up.
Yeah.
Just kind of how it worked.
I feel like it's easy enough to just avoid someone if you only share classes with them. But like, I completely understand why you would switch offices in order to get away.
Yes. Yeah, it's one reason I never tried to date people in my companies.
There are reasons why there are policies against that.
Well, there's no real there are certain policies, but it's more to like prevent like people being like promoted when they shouldn't be because they're sleeping their way up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah, and then there's also the terrible breakups that ruin everything.
There are. So later on with the party, Andy shows up with an ice sculpture, and he says he stole it.
Yeah.
Where did he fucking steal this thing from?
I don't know. I don't know
like
where you can possibly find an ice sculpture. I guess I would lean towards he found another party that was going on, like a wedding reception or something, and then stole it from there.
But where?
Because
like, does he know where all the parties are?
I don't know.
It's just one of those random like throwaway lines where I'm just like, huh.
Yeah, it's such a small thing, but then tons of questions.
Yeah. And so there's something that kind of goes back and forth in the office is who started first, Jim or Pam. From this episode, Pam did start first, but it does it's very fluid about when they start and how long people were there before the other person. It's really, really weird.
You're talking about when they're saying like the moments that they first liked each other?
Yeah.
So you mean Pam started because she's the one who said the thing that made Jim fall for her?
No, Pam started first at Dunder Mifflin.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I
because that gets really nebulous of when they start relative to each other. Like, sometimes it seems like Pam was there for years. Other times it seems like Pam was there for months. Sometimes it seems like Jim was there first, you know?
Yeah, just maybe some quiet retconning somewhere.
Yeah, Office does it all the time. And that's one of the fun things about having this podcast is you point them out.
Yes.
So, yeah, and then, I really feel bad for Dwight in this episode because, like, Andy is, like, talking to him about trying to get with Angela, and you can tell he's just miserable about everything, and I'm just like, oh, poor Dwight.
I like the suggestion that Andy should date Kelly, and that's okay because she's in the annex. And also, Kelly is a person that she's entertaining. I also want to slap the shit out of her.
Yeah, the evolution of Kelly is very interesting. And this is also the episode when we get the start of Kelly Daryl, which goes on for a while.
Yeah, and that also impacting with Dwight of like she wanted to buy the paper on the website because it does this "thank you for shopping at Dunder Mifflin" chime. Like, because of course she's the kind of person who would be really entertained about noises from a website.
Well, my thought was just why did she use the web? Why didn't she just call Daryl and be like, "Hey, I need some paper. Could you bring it up, or go get it yourself?"
She can't get it herself. But yeah, just call Daryl. But then it does lead into Daryl defending her against Dwight. And I love that Dwight said, like, when it wins or something, I'm blaming you. Whatever it is, he said it. And Daryl's like, who's it? In an intimidating enough fashion that Dwight goes away.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really, really good scene in general. And then you just have, Daryl's like, you still missing Ryan? She's like, not as much. Which comes into play in the next episode.
Yeah. There's also when Michael was sharing the invite that Ryan sent. It's like, oh, did he say that he's dating anyone? Because, of course, that would be on there. That's one of my... It's a weird relationship, but it's super fun to watch. Yes. I have to say, I loved when they first got together, Ryan and Kelly, and just the opening of everything that they got together on Valentine's Day, and he just looks fucked up. It's like, I know I screwed up. I loved it. I think that was the first time I started bursting out laughing. I think I laughed until I cried on that specific moment.
Well, yeah. Kelly's a weird character. And I would love to be able to talk to Mindy Kaling because she writes a lot of the episodes, and so it's she has say in how the character developed. It was like, how'd you get here from there?
Yeah.
Even though her other characters are somewhat similar. Like, have you ever watched the Mindy Project?
No. I saw a commercial on it, and then it annoyed me enough I never, ever wanted to watch it again.
It was okay at the beginning. It kind of went meh. But the first season was pretty good, actually. But
yeah, the commercial I remember seeing was a white woman was asking for parking validation, and so Mindy said, I think you've been validated enough. And it annoyed me. It's like, are you just doing, Tumblr jokes? And it's like, meh.
And we have the scene of where they're actually on the webcam, and Michael's like, "Hey, Dwight beat your stupid computer and something else, and suck on that."
And then Kelly puts the pizza on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked how genuine the guy who's talking before Michael on this. Like, tell me when this is on.
Yeah.
It's such a genuine human thing. Like, I can't tell.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how they just technically did that. I mean, I don't know. Was Skype a thing in 2007? Like, what kind of VoIP?
Uh,
I mean, I know
I
there
don't-
was video conferencing, but
but you did remind me of how Michael described it. Of like, there's cables and fibers, because that's the extent of his knowledge goes.
right.
Fibers.
Oh, let's see if I can't find the founding Windows desktop. That's not what I want. I don't know. I don't know where it is. It looks like it started. It was okay. 2003 was when Skype was first released. So yes, there's been VoIP around for some time.
All right.
Not that our internet was fast enough to ever use it in 2007. I remember because actually at this point I was graduated. Like I had 6 megabits and I was super excited because it was super fast.
While I did not pay attention to internet speeds, I had decent enough internet to play EQ2 with my mom. That's where I was in 2007.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, man. Actually, very. Now that I think about it, I remember this pretty well. Anyway,
And yeah,
no one wants to hear about girls I used to date.
so about dating, then there's Andy doing the acapella ask out.
Which, is kind of a cool move, but also kind of a douchey move. I mean, it puts her in a pretty bad spot, but she obviously liked it.
Mm-hmm.
She gives this nice little smile, like when she's leaving, but
Yeah, it's a very adorable smile.
to do that in front of everybody, man. I mean, I understand you're Andy and you like grand gestures. Like where, you haven't gotten there yet, but there's a time where, I guess it's in season 8, I guess, maybe, where Andy gets Aaron the entire 12 days of Christmas.
Yes. Oh, I remember that.
Yes, yeah. So, this is the kind of stuff he does. It's just, it's really like, man, over the top.
He did not think that through with the 12 days of Christmas.
No, he did not.
Um,
Well, and according to Michael Scott, when he was talking to the kid, I'm an adult. I don't have to think about what I do. Is that how that line? Oh, yeah. I don't have to think about my actions or something like that. It was pretty good, Michael Scott line.
yeah. Like, grand gesture. If they were actually alone in the building, then I'm much more comfortable with that because he's just embarrassing himself. But he's also putting her on the spot, and then it's just like,
Okay, what would you have said? Would you have dated Andy?
I don't think I could stand him. Which is like, what? I mean, he's very fun to watch. Just like with a buffer. What is it that Pam said? It's like, yeah, on second thought, Angela and Andy would make a good couple, but I don't think I can do that to Andy or Angela.
Or Dwight?
Yeah. It's just like inflicting each other on them. It's just, I need a buffer.
So the episode kind of ends up with Michael going, you know what I really want? Some New York style sushi, which I didn't know was a thing, but
Actually, is it like New York style is
no,
a thing in sushi?
no, it's not. It's not. It's just
Okay.
Michael being stupid. I was
Yes.
being sarcastic. So it's like, so they go to New York, which is like 2 hours away, to go steal sushi from this party So you got to figure it's got to be fairly late at night at this point, like 10, 11 o'clock, just to drive back.
I love this moment of Dwight, though. It's like, you know where you get like New York style sushi, and Dwight goes, Tokyo?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, New York. New York style sushi in Tokyo. Yes.
And then, like, they're out there eating on, like, Dwight's car, and the guy comes up, is like, hey, you're the salesman people from Scranton, and, you know. And then they have this giant plate of sushi, and they just put it on someone else's car and leave.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think of the episode?
It's a good episode. It's like, this is one of like the classic types of episodes. Like, as things change when you get further down into the series, this is like classic.
So, what's your rating of this one?
I feel unprepared for this because I don't know how you've rated other ones.
Well,
So what's your rating?
well, I do really like this episode. It sets up a lot. You know, this is because the Daryl Kelly thing goes on for a while. Angela, Andy, you know, that most of season 5 with the whole cheating and everything else.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like the fact that like Ryan just gets shit on all the time because he's like turning into like full on douchebag Ryan at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
So
Are we supposed to think negatively of his beard? Because I do. I mean, obviously he can grow a beard, but it's like never filled in enough or something. I don't know.
So I gave this 4 out of 5 kidnapping jail times. So it's a 4 out of 5.
4 to 5 is good. That's pretty much what I was settling on, but I didn't know I have to come up with
Yeah, you
funny.
gotta come up with a modifier. Or
4 out of 5 Jim Krasinski signings on Meredith's cast.
Okay, up next we are going into Money, season 4, episode 4, written and directed by Paul Lieberstein, who is Toby.
I love the hatred for Toby that Michael has. I think that was like my husband's favorite part of the show is just how Michael singles out Toby and is just mean to him.
Right. So this opens up with the Devil Wears Prada cold open, which is hilarious. One, you don't get a lot of like Michael cold opens, but so he's being just a bitch to Pam, and then like Pam realizes he's watching $1 Million Baby. And she's like, "Oh my god, he's going to try and kill me!" And just the fear that just you know that comes in there. So the big thing was. There's 2 major storylines. One is Michael is broke. And 2, Jim and Pam go stay the night at Dwight's bed and breakfast.
Because Dwight is also broke-ish? Or is he just doing...
He's just doing it.
Okay.
For funsies.
I guess I assumed that he was broke.
No, he actually does okay. But, you know, we see Jan in there. He's like, it costs what it costs. I'm like, you're redoing this condo. This looks really expensive.
Yeah. I have no idea how much any form of home renovation costs, but that's definitely a thing that you have to keep in mind.
Oh, I mean, you can easily spend $2,000-$3,000 on a couch. Easily. You know, if you want to replace your countertop, that's a couple $1,000s. I mean, you're probably just looking at like at minimum $2,500 no matter what. Unless you like have the hookups. You know, your friend's a contractor or something. And Ryan, you know, like, but this is just one of those scenes like, I know Michael didn't tell her, but you would think that 1, she has some money saved. 2, she would have found a fucking job at some point. She doesn't seem like the person to stay at home.
I like that that's like part of her downward spiral, though, is that she did stay home, and then, like, you know, as it seems in the dinner party episode, that she's going a little crazy.
Oh, dinner party.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. And then, so Ryan, he wants everyone using PowerPoint. My question is, why? I mean, it looks like a lot of sales are done over the phone, one. And two, like, a lot of the other sales that you see are done, like, just face-to-face talking. You know, there's not a lot of presentations. You know, especially for, like, one-on-one sales, I don't see why you would need it, or you can't be guaranteed to have a place to present it at. I mean, if you're like trying to sell to like a really big company, I can understand it, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, like the last high fantasy episode we did was on humor, and we mentioned Scott Adams has a formula for what is humorous, and one of them is familiarness, recognizableness. And that's what I think they were doing with this PowerPoint thing. Is that this is the classic type of office settings. Like you need to be using PowerPoint and Office, Microsoft Office, and all of that. And I think they were doing that. And I think what I assumed was that Ryan is assuming that everyone has to do the way he does it, and that's using Microsoft Office. You have to be using PowerPoint because you just have to. And
that
like
makes
not
sense.
really a whole lot of thought being put into it.
Okay.
It's just the foolish management. You have to.
That makes sense. And then Dwight gets the phone call from somebody looking for a king-size bed, and they don't have them. And Jim just turns to Dwight. He's like, "Hey, Dwight." He's just like this instant, just like, "Oh, I have to mess with him now." And but it also comes back around to him when Pam books the night at the at Schrute Farms, and like you see the pure terror on Jim's face, like, "Oh shit, we're going to actually do this. This is bad. This is bad."
I love how Dwight always does the German, like everything is old-fashioned German and like almost a little terrible and brutal when talking about like fairy tales of people getting massacred. And so he answers the phone in German and says Auf Wiedersehen and all that stuff.
Right. Yes. And we would be remiss not to pour one out for the Stock Inn, the cutest little asparagus farm.
Yes.
I don't know. Could do some agro-tourism. That could be interesting. A little scary, especially if it's like Dwight, but...
Yes. And then Dwight and Angela, like they're trading back items.
Which is one of the greatest breakup traditions of all time. The trade of the items.
See, I have not had many relationships. Hopefully this one is not going to end, so I don't have to deal with it ever. But never traded back items, because basically the one time that it did have a relationship end, we just went to opposite sides of the country. Well,
it's you generally start to accumulate stuff, especially if you're not like, you tend to accumulate stuff at each other's places if you're together long enough, or like, I dated girls long enough that, I would have like a drawer or two at their place and like toothbrushes and crap like that. So,
and I know that happens. I totally relate to it, but like, I just managed to skip over that.
Well, not all of us can be as lucky as you.
Yeah, I was quite lucky. But so it always stood out to me that Angela has a CPAP machine.
Yep.
Because you need that for
sleep apnea.
Oh my God, that's the word. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it correlates so highly with obesity. It stands out that someone so tiny needs one.
Yeah.
It's just I can't believe that someone that tiny would actually need it. But obviously, there's still like genetic, structural issues that you can have with it.
You don't have
but it correlates so much,
right? It does.
That it jars my brain.
And then there's the Jim and Pam just being a dick to Michael. They're like, "Hey, Michael, you want to have dinner tonight?"
Yeah. When they know that he's got that second job.
Well, you wouldn't understand. It's a secret.
Yeah.
I wouldn't understand, or it's a secret. You wouldn't understand. It's a secret.
Yeah. There's also Kevin has his Scrantonicity too. And I am so happy I get to talk about this episode because I fucking love that joke, and you didn't get it.
Well, I'm not big into staying in the police. Okay.
I mean, when they were doing the wedding things and the Scrantonicity, it's like, oh, it's a knockoff of Synchronicity. That's great. And then they're only doing the police songs, and then I didn't know if they would ever, make the joke of Synchronicity too.
Right.
And I had to explain that to my husband because he doesn't care about police either, but I love that joke. It's one of my favorites.
And we get the first sighting of Mose.
Is this the first episode he's in?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I think we hear him on the phone when Michael fake gives Dwight his job during the coup in season 2 or 3. But I think this is the first time we actually see Mose. And Mose is like the guy who plays Mose is a big deal, like in Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah. And he produces a lot of shows. Yeah, he's a big guy. Are you familiar with Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Familiar with, but not watched.
Okay. Michael Schur. Let's see. He produced that. Michael Schur. He was a writer. Writer for Brooklyn, Parks and Rec, The Office, SNL. Produced Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, Master of None.
He collaborated on a music video for the Decemberists. That's interesting.
Yeah, so he's done a lot, but you wouldn't guess it just by him in this. What?
He co-wrote the teleplay of Nosedive from Black Mirror with Rashida Jones. I mean, that stood out to me when I was watching Black Mirror, that Rashida Jones wrote that episode. It was so strange that so another person from The Office wrote it with her.
Yep.
It's weird.
So yeah, he's done a whole lot. But Mose, I love Mose. I think he's funny.
And so you said that he was on the phone, and I was actually wondering when rewatching this episode, it's like, do we ever hear him speak? Because he's completely silent in this episode.
Yes, you hear him speak. I know for sure he talks during the garden party episode in season 8. When Andy throws a garden party at Dwight's at True Farms, trying to impress his parents, who are just terrible people. Because he's the valet. He's like, you must give me your car now.
I don't think I've seen this episode.
It's a good one.
Okay.
It's one of those episodes that's really good because you're like, oh, this is why Andy is so fucked up. It's that episode.
Yeah. The kind of threading through is like, oh, they always did that with my brother, not with me.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So we've talked about why I didn't get. And I love how they request a bedtime story from Dwight.
Yes. And the irrigation themed bedroom.
I wanted to see the other bedrooms. I'm sad we didn't get to see more of the.
I wanted to see the American themed ones. Like, what does Dwight think is American themed?
Oh, that's a good question. It's got to be super
Brutal.
stereotypical 1920s Americana.
I was kind of thinking of weird posters of World War II or something, like the equivalent of holding someone's severed head up that's still dripping blood and going, "Arr." And
So I was going to ask you what your worst job ever was, because Michael has this pretty terrible telemarketing job, but you've never had a job. So
no, but there is a call center in town that at separate times both my husband and my mother worked at, and it is a hellhole. It's just absolutely terrible. Like when my mom was working there, she has meds that she needs to take regularly, but the insurance was so bad, it was cheaper to just go without the insurance. Except we still didn't have enough money in order for her to actually get the meds. And it's just, along with all the terrible things of having to have like pep rally parties of like, yeah, you absolutely love this job, right? In which people berate you every day for something that is outside of your control. And it's just, yeah. Telemarketers, call centers, I will avoid them like the plague.
My worst job was probably working at Pizza Hut. Yeah, that was probably my worst job. My boss was an
Why?
ass. It's probably mostly my boss. Like, I never fully understood, like, the need for, like, I mean, I knew the need, but, like, I never really knew what definitely would be sexual harassment in the workplace until I saw that guy with the women around that Pizza Hut. I was like,
Yeah,
why
okay.
don't you just sue this guy? It'd be open and shut.
Yeah. My uncle has basically made a career out of either truck driving or pizza delivery. So it's like, oh, you hate it? Why? He loves it. Yeah.
Well,
People,
but I
the people are the
wasn't,
problem.
well, I was like in the kitchen making pizzas. I wasn't delivering. I probably would have liked delivery, but
Yeah, you get to get away from the asshole.
right. Like, at one point, this guy had like a pregnant girlfriend and was sleeping with two of the women at Pizza Hut. So, just stand up, dude.
Yeah. There was something that stood out. I have interestingly forgotten the context, but Michael was wanting to lose weight. Oh no, it wasn't him wanting to lose weight. That was having to do with the shirt in the previous episode. It
Right.
was you want to lose weight, you want to like 50 pounds lighter in 5 minutes. The only way I know you can do that is lose a body part.
Liposuction?
Not in 5 minutes, but cut off a leg or two. That'll work.
How much does the average human like weigh?
Well, see, different sizes. So I'm 5'5" and like 118 pounds. One of my legs probably doesn't weigh 50 pounds,
Yeah, that's probably true.
but one of yours might.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
I'm 6'2", 210.
Yeah, but the only way you can do something that fast is cutting off body parts.
And now you wonder why I think like you stab people at night.
Well, that comes out to me because like I've been actually cutting weight for the past couple weeks because I'm going to go on vacation and then I'm going to gain 10 pounds. So as I'm like conscious of what I'm eating and everything, and then you say 50 pounds lighter in 5 minutes, it stands out.
But then Michael accidentally, I'm sure it's a robocall, but he gets Stanley.
Yes.
And there's the line with him, he's like, when I'm at home in my sweats, drinking red wine, watching my mystery stories, last thing I want to hear in this godforsaken world is Michael Scott's voice. I love that line. It's one of my favorite lines of Stanley, period. Michael, just like we were talking about, like, just doesn't have the ability. He wants to be friendly, so he doesn't have that ability to just like cold call sell where he's got to do it quickly.
You're right. He ends up talking to people about their kids and, he didn't get it put into the game. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. And not selling anything.
Right. So like the idea, like my thought is that he, like in paper, in what Dunder Mifflin, the sales are big enough to warrant that kind of attention. Where selling diet pills, it's not.
Hmm.
So,
I like Vikram though. Vikram is interesting.
we just learn how little Michael knows about other cultures. Like he's like,
Yes.
What's medical school like in your country? Like a chicken or something?
I also really like Vikram's food because I really like Indian food, and God, I want Indian food again. I was distracted by the Indian food.
Yeah. When they were talking about sushi, I was like, oh God, I want some sushi. Like I was like, it's the one bummer from moving here where I live now is there's almost no deliveries. Like the last
Oh.
place I lived, we had all the places would deliver. So it's like, we had good Thai delivery, good Indian delivery, good Japanese, good Chinese. It was like,
Yeah.
so
In both weight because there is just so much to eat, and there's it's my favorite Indian spot. We're like basically gonna go back for like a small road trip just to go back to that restaurant.
nice. Very nice. So we have this great scene at Shrew Farms where Pam hears something knocking, so she goes looking, and Jim's like, "You're not really going out there, are you?" She's like, "Yes, I am." And like she finds Mose in the outhouse.
Yeah.
Poor Mose. Like he just has this great look about like, really, just please go away. Like, I felt so bad for Mose.
I like what Pam says. Like, what year is this? That's her reaction to an outhouse.
Yeah. So something I find interesting is there's so many Die Hard references in The Office. Like, there's this one. There's one in season 9, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple other Die Hard references. So I wonder, like, who's the fan of Die Hard in the writers' room?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't
but
know.
It's interesting.
In Community, there's also several like references to Die Hard. Like, I don't know. The Community's worth watching.
It is.
Even season 4, which has the biggest actual reference to Die Hard. So I'm thinking about it.
Right. Well, I know that they weren't as good as the first 3 seasons, but the last 3 seasons of Community were pretty good. They were better than people give them credit for.
Yeah, there's some hit or miss. Some of them are really good. But the last episode is the best episode I've seen as being the ending of a series, and even then, they still managed to deal with maybe it's an end. Like, it was great.
Right. 6 seasons in a movie.
Yep.
And, we have this bit where like Jim tries to like counsel Dwight, where he's all getting all moany and sad, and that's a nice scene. But Dwight's like, "Oh, thank you for bringing it to the attention of the management. I will have it looked at in the morning."
Yes.
He doesn't know what to do.
So he's so stiff about like they're not Jim and Dwight. They're like customer and owner of the bed and breakfast. That's not a bed and breakfast.
Right.
And then everyone is tired the next day.
Right. And
Everyone.
Ryan rolls in like super pumped and and then, so we find out that Michael completely forgot about the thing, and Kelly's all flirting with Daryl, and for whatever reason brought Daryl to the meeting that there's no reason he needed to be a part of.
Yeah. This is one of the times I want to slap her because it's so like obvious of trying to like get the attention and cause like a PDA incident that just like go away, stop that. But it's funny because I don't really have to deal with her.
Right. And they get into this whole bit about like whom and whoever, like whomever or whoever.
Yes.
Do you know what the right one was, or if there was a right one?
Toby said something I believe is correct, and it was like, okay, so as Pam said, it was like use one when it's subject and the other one when it's object, and then what Ryan said was subject and then object, then indirect object. I don't remember which one is which, but like what Oscar said is like both of them are like real words, but I have no idea when to use whom. So just like I could just stay away from it. I will use who all the time, and someone will yell at me about it if they care. I say this as a writer.
It was, and someone was like, Kelly popped in, and was like, Ryan used me as an object.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, good times. And then has Ryan already tried to fire Kelly? I think so. At some point, Ryan tries to fire Kelly. So he doesn't have to deal with her anymore.
Yeah. I did really appreciate Michael trying to cover the fact that he didn't have a presentation prepared. He did PowerPoint, like a really big pointing at people because it's PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Like it's pun, basically.
Then Michael starts trying to like figure out like how can he make money or something, and he goes to Kevin and is like, do you know of any sure things about boxers taking a dive? You know anyone I can talk to about that? And Kevin's like, the mob. And Michael is like, seriously, like, do you know anyone there? He's like, no. But just another reason, like, showing how just oblivious Michael is to the workings of the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you almost feel bad about it, almost, But, man, they, like, Michael he doesn't know what's going on at all. Like, everything is a movie to him.
That he takes everything at face value until it can be very obvious that someone's deceiving him.
Right.
I like when they're talking in the break room about the money and someone suggests that he needs to talk to Jan about it. He says, no, it's like talking about money is rude and unsexual. But isn't the joke that, women will flock to men with tons of money because money is sexy?
Women don't like boys. They like cars and money. Which I did test out one time on a dating site, and it pretty much proved itself to be true.
Yeah, but then you have the problem of people who are on dating sites. It's a selection problem.
That's where I found my wife.
That's true. Yeah. I have had no success with dating sites, and I've tried. So.
Okay. Anyway, but yes, girls don't like boys. They like cars and money. But that means Michael's absence of money would be unsexual.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like until Jan, even though Michael was terrible with money, he was doing okay. And then Jan moved in, and it was just that extra person that was more expensive that he was having to cover their costs, and with that he couldn't he couldn't hold it together anymore.
Yeah, and he refuses to say no.
Right. Let's see here.
Then we get, I guess, the Daryl has to cancel plans with Kelly because he's got his daughter, and she says that he needs to choose, and so he chooses his daughter, and she freaks out.
Dumps the folders. Like, she's cold-blooded, man. She's a mean person. But I love how he goes up to her and is like, look, I like you, but you need to access your own crazy side or this thing is over with.
Yeah, it basically leads to her saying, like, who says exactly what they're thinking? What kind of game is that? Which is one of the most, like, popular screen cap bits of this show, I feel.
And then there's this great exchange between Michael and Creed, because, it's Creed, who's awesome.
Yes.
It's
so weird.
He's talking about how Monopoly is crazy, like, get out of jail free cards aren't free. You don't just pick those up. Those things cost thousands.
Yeah.
Talking about bankruptcy, which leads to maybe one of the most iconic Michael Scott lines, where he's screaming, "I declare bankruptcy."
Yeah, it's one of the best moments.
He's just like, Oscar's like, that didn't do anything. It's like, just saying the words doesn't do anything. It's like, I didn't say it.
I declared them.
it. So this is something that you people may or may not get, but the cat that Andy gives Angela is garbage. The cat that Dwight tried to give Angela after he killed Sprinkles.
It's the same cat.
It's the same cat.
That's hilarious. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I really like that cat just because I like cats. And as she walks up, she's like, "You may ask me out," and she's holding the cat in her arms. It looks so cute.
Well, it's like no patios, no bars, no
No vegetables, no foreign things, or no seafood. But the vegetables things really stuck out to me because they make repeated jokes about her eating like a rabbit.
Right. So, like, where they go? Italian food? Like, I was trying to, like, piece together, like, where she could go.
But isn't that foreign?
It's true.
What is not foreign in her mind?
That's a good question. I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah.
Angela's a weird chick.
Yes. When Oscar and Michael are talking about his finances and like all of the things that he buys, so that you do not need these things, and he's talking about the Core Master. He did this like sideways language joke, confusion thing of like, it's the core. I think the Marine Corps used it. That's where they got core from. Those are completely different words, but they sound so similar, you can mistake them.
Yeah, then they call Jan, and Jan starts berating Michael, and he breaks. It's like,
Yep.
bolts. It's like, nope, I'm out.
He's gonna go be a hobo, so he has trouble jumping onto a train, and then it comes to a stop.
Yeah. Poor
Just
Michael.
it's such a sympathy for how stupid you've got to feel in a situation like that. It's like, I was doing something, and then it did the thing that made it easier a second later. God damn it.
And then we have this great scene with Jim and Dwight in the stairwell. And Jim is talking about how he left because of Pam, and he basically doesn't know how Dwight's doing it, and it's so bad, and like this the first bonding of like the of them, because eventually by the end of the series, they're always highly antagonistic towards each other, but they're friends. They are friends, but they give each other hell, but they're still friendly, so this is the first kind of moment where Jim honestly tries to do something good and help Dwight, because he sees just how broken Dwight is.
Yeah. And then you still have the awkward moment of Dwight reaching his arm over and Jim's gone. Yeah. Awkward moments.
And, Jim kisses Pam, and Jenna
Jim
Fisher.
kisses Pam.
Yes. Jenna Fisher plays being in love better than anyone I think I've ever seen. Like, she sells it so good.
I don't watch enough things that has romance in it for me to bring anyone else to mind.
Like, there's no one else that's just like in movies or TV or anywhere that I feel it feels more real than her. Like, she just, the expressions, sorry about that. The expressions, everything is just perfect.
Yeah, Jim's just really passionate about Italian food.
Yes. I would be passionate about Italian food too. And then, so Jan shows up, right? Just nails Oscar with her keys.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know.
Well, I guess on a logical side, that she's just pulled up into the parking lot and left the car in a very terrible spot. So she throws the keys at Oscar so he can move it if anyone needs to get in or out.
I guess. I don't know. But, this is one of those times with Jan where I
She acts like a decent person.
Yeah, I'm conflicted with her because, what she tells Michael is very thoughtful, very nice. I also want to know what she did to her family that they won't talk to her on the advice of legal counsel.
Yeah.
Like, was this stuff to do with Dunder Mifflin, or was it like other things? Like, I feel like
we don't know of any other conflict that she would have had. So if we assume it's Dunder Mifflin, then maybe she told them something about her being, not the best worker.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's weird. Whatever it is, it's weird. So, but so I really like that. And she's like, "Look, you stood by me, and you deserve to have someone stand by you." It's like these are really like adult things to say to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just keeps being crazy.
Yeah, it's like this one moment that she's a good person, but it doesn't stick.
Well, there's several moments with Jean where, like, if things had kind of gone the other way, you feel like it would she might not have completely snapped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe living with Michael Scott's just too much for her. I don't know. I don't know.
I like what he says to her, though. It's like, please don't sell your implants. And she describes how they're not good. Like, they kind of hurt, they're uncomfortable, and her nipples aren't as sensitive. Yeah, but they look cute.
Oh, my. Michael, we talked about this, but Michael is such a boob guy. Like, in the episode where he breaks up with her, like, 4 of the cons, Women's Appreciation episode, season 3, like, 4 of the cons are, like, she's got small boobs, shrunken testicles, nothing to write home about. Like, almost all of his cons about her are boob related. Okay, so what are you going to give this episode?
I'd have to say this is probably one of my favorite episodes. Like 5 out of 5 gallons of beet wine.
Wow,
the idea
that's a
of
big
making,
one.
like, wine out of beets because there's so much sugar in them and stuff. But yeah, it's like this has 2 really big iconic moments of like, what kind of game is that to say exactly what you mean? And the I declare bankruptcy, and then all of the other things and the Scrantonicity jokes. Like, this is a really, really good episode.
Yes, this is. This may be a top 10er for me. I mean, this is a really good episode. Lots of good stuff happening, funny jokes, emotional enough, et cetera, et cetera. So I gave this a 4.2347 out of 5. Please don't sell your implants.
Yeah. Because they look cute.
They look cute, yes. So you all out there in podcast land, you can reach us at brokenjarsbroadcasting@gmail.com. We will have a post on the subreddit. You can find us at brokenjars.xyz with all of our other podcasts. You can catch the Dresden Files on High Fantasy with Director Alex here, and I'm on High Fantasy with Alex. And then we have other shows that are coming and going, so it'll be fun. Yay.
Yeah, there's Shylocks, and then Dangerous to Go Alone with J. Ray. Poor absent guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so please check us out. We're on Twitter, Broken Jars Pod. We have a Twitter.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. I should look this up more. But anyway, y'all have a good night, good morning, whenever you're happing this. I hope it's good. Bye.
Bye.